Welcome to the Brave Woman Podcast. I'm your host, Tanya Lynn, founder of Sistership Circle and author of Open Your Heart and The Art of Leading Circle. I'm the mother of 2 girls, an 8 on the Enneagram, aka the Challenger, happily married to my business partner, Brent, love connecting with nature, and have put in well over 10,000 hours circling with other women. On this podcast, we will explore how to embody the brave woman so that you can take action on your dreams and desires, unapologetically speak your truth, and live life on your own terms. Grab a seat and a cup of tea, and let's get started. We are moving into the power of your pleasure. Yes. Ooh. Embodiment of your pleasure. In my journey into feminine leadership, this to me has been the most challenging. Came up this morning for me, but also the thing that has really moved the needle the most. And that is from shifting from the work hard mentality to the receiving more pleasure in my life. So I want to start with what's been happening this week for me. And it feels like I'm right in it. Like I'm really, really deep in this whole conversation that we've been on this journey here, the heroine's journey. I am in my initiation. I think every time I do an event, it's an initiation. We have Rise into Leadership happening this Friday. And it is bringing up all of my stuff. I've already done this event. This is my 3rd live virtual event for the year. We have over 1,200 women attending, and from the outside, it looks like this is just something that I always do. I've done so many events, I've done so many circles, so many programs, and yet here I am confronted feeling like I'm working my butt off, working hard, and a couple nights ago, I'm laying in bed and I'm having the thought, Tanya, just go get some massage oil and rub your own body down. Now, Brent, my husband, is at Burning Man, and he is, he's having the time of his life. Here I am back in Costa Rica with my 2 girls, all on my own, don't have the support that I had before, and here I am preparing for this event, and it feels like upper limit. So I'm on bed, and I'm thinking, just get up. Your essential oils are right there, right on the shelf, at the edge of your bed. Just get up, get your oils, get your massage oil, and just rub your arms down, rub your legs down. You know, this isn't a sexual practice. It's just to get into the body. And I'm laying there completely frozen. So I'm having this thought, give yourself pleasure, massage yourself, feel good in your body, do something, take care, self-care, do the things. And then there's this other thought of me that's like, I am too exhausted. I can't move. That feels like too much work. And so I just laid there and got on my phone. Isn't that what we do? We check out. We start scrolling, and I'm like, what am I doing? I'm literally having these 2 voices in my head talking to each other. What are you doing? I can't do anything else. Don't be on your phone. I know, but it's the easiest thing to do right now, right? The easiest thing to do is to just check out when we're working so hard. So I had a somatic experiencing, an SE session with one of the practitioners for my program. And I asked her about this. I said, I froze. I felt it. I went into freeze. And she said, use the VU. Now, this is a tool that I have learned already. It's in Peter Levine's book. The VU, what it's doing is it's literally resetting your nervous system. It's putting your frontal cortex essentially and your vagal nerve back online when you've gone into that shutdown freeze. And then she said, once you do the VU and you snap yourself out of it, then you can move towards doing these self-care things. And it was like the light bulb went off. Yes, why am I not using this tool? That is the piece. We already have the tools. You already have your tools. But they feel like they are a million miles away and you're not even aware of them. They're completely out of your awareness when you go into a freeze state, when your nervous system is dysregulated. And it is so hard to think and to actually move on that when you're in that freeze state. So, as we are moving into being the brave feminine leader in the world, and we want to start to embody the power of our voice, the power of our pleasure, the power of our magic, we have to start moving through the freeze state. And then we can get to the other tools. So, what is the VU? The VU is simply making a VU sound as if you're having a foghorn on a boat. So it just sounds like this. VU. And you can feel the resonance in your body. VU. It's very low, and you just keep doing that. So I woke up this morning. I'm a couple days out from my event, and I felt myself going into anxiety. I felt myself going into a panic. And I thought, okay, now is the time to do the self-care. And now is the time to do the VU. Now, I've been dealing with my littles. Summer has been sick over the last couple days. So it's really, really been challenging. And she was screaming in the middle of the night. She doesn't know what it was. She just was screaming. Holding her completely took down my nervous system. Like it just completely hijacked me. She was then crying again later, and I had her come and lay in my bed. So she woke us up at 4:50 this morning, and I was in this complete anxiety panic state. And so I started doing the VU, and she was so adorable. She was like, "Mommy, what are you doing?" I said, "I'm making a VU. I'm making some sounds. Do you want to join me?" And so then I took my hands into a butterfly. This is one of the other somatic tools that you can use. And you're just placing your hands on your chest, and then you're tapping left, right, left, right, left, right. And so I'm doing this as I'm VUing. VU. And I look over, and there's Summer tapping her chest with me. And it was so sweet. It was so cute. And so then I felt the anxiety starting to dissipate. Felt myself coming back online, and I started squeezing my shoulders, just bringing myself back into my body, opening my eyes, orienting around the room. And there's Summer copying me, and she's like, I said, "Do you like this?" And she said, "Yes, I do, but I don't want to make that noise." I said, "Okay, you don't have to make the noise." And so we just sat there doing this. And then I got out the essential oils and I offered her a drop of Valor. It's a Young Living essential oil that I love, and I rubbed that on our feet. And then I got the massage oil and I just started to rub my arms and my legs. And then I just started to work with the vagus nerve, stroking down from the top of the point of the chin, down the throat, down the middle of the chest, all the way down to my belly button. And she said, "Mommy, me too, me too." And so then I started just, petting her arms and her legs and down her center channel as well, her vagus nerve. And it was so sweet. Anxiety, gone. Freeze, gone. Back in my pleasure. And what a powerful way to start today. I feel great. And I said, this has got to be the practice. It's not just the pleasure, it's also about the regulation of the nervous system. And actually, that is what brings the pleasure. So I believe that we have been deeply, deeply conditioned in our society to work hard and to shove away our desires, shove away our pleasure, shove away what is feeling good. And if we think about it, think about your lineage of women. Were they actually able to have self-care? Your grandmother? Think about the lifetime that she lived in. And if we go way back, like how much time did our ancestors have for this type of self-care? What kind of tools did they have? Now, way back, there were lots of ways that women regulated their nervous system. By sitting in circle, humming, singing, drumming together. But this has been lost over the last couple generations. This has been lost. And women have been trying to get ahead, to work like a man, to succeed, to have these accomplishments, right? And that is what we've been talking about with the heroine's journey, is just this conditioning to work hard. And we have to unravel that conditioning and embody the power of our pleasure. And when you are in this high sympathetic state of anxiety and you are working hard, it is so hard to access the hormones of pleasure. It's like it's hard to override that. So literally, if we want to step into our pleasure, we have to work with our nervous system. We have to train ourselves to come back into a regulated state. So this is where we put in the work. And this is where we come into that deeper level of embodiment. The embodiment of our pleasure is meaning that every day I'm looking at how can I receive more pleasure today? And so what's happening is when we are literally embodying that and we're stepping into a daily practice of pleasure, guess what happens? You are in a state of expansion. You are in a place to receive all of the abundance that is around you. There is so much abundance. I'm looking out the window right now at these gorgeous trees, this little bird, and I'm thinking about, wow, what an abundant universe. What an abundant planet that we live on. And it's all available for us. But when we are contracted and in this anxious state that's coming from scarcity, that's coming from the work hard mentality, we can't access that. This piece is so important. And so what we want to do here in embodying the power of your pleasure, where you are then completely open to all of the miracles, to all of the abundance, that you completely shift who you're being into this relaxed, gentle, very sensual, very open, magnetic woman, right? We have to create the practices that then it just becomes second nature. And the truth of the matter is, I'm not here yet. I'm calling myself out. I am not here embodying my pleasure. I know how to access it. I know how to take myself there. But is it a daily practice for me? Is it my daily experience? Am I embodying it? No. And so I look at some of the women out there who I'm friends with, and I attract a lot of these women into my life, and I see them embodying this. And I'm like, I just want to cultivate that, right? Without losing my power to create, my mission, right? So I'm playing with both the masculine and the feminine. My friend said that David Data told her that in a partnership, only one person can actually be receiving pleasure. I thought this was really, really interesting. And so if your partner is receiving pleasure, yeah, you might be turned on by him or her receiving pleasure, but only one person can receive pleasure at a time. Now, this kind of like, in wrapping my head around this, I was thinking about like the masculine and feminine. And how, as the brave woman, do we embody and be the integration of both? And so it's just really learning how to navigate between the two. And so I think of it as, I don't know if I necessarily need to be in pleasure 24 hours a day. I still need to get things done. But I can have it be a practice that I'm weaving in and out of on a daily basis. And that feels like the mastery. And there might be certain times of the day when I'm very much in my masculine, and maybe that is a sign from like 10 to 2 that I am focused, I am productive, I am working, but then I shut it off and I shift and I transition into pleasure. Can we be a wave? Can we flow in and out, masculine and feminine? And also incorporating rest. And so I can actually create a rhythm for my day. A rhythm of, in the morning, I'm coming into the world, the day, from a place of pleasure. And then I'm transitioning into that masculine productive focused time. And then I'm transitioning and flowing into pleasure and creativity and more the feminine again. And then I've got some family time, and then I'm going to rest. And so creating that flow through my days can help me to really be balanced and integrated. And so having a morning practice where you're slowly waking up the body and using touch and using the five senses really. So I had touch this morning, I had sight, I could have added maybe some music. I had the smell. So I'm incorporating the five senses, slowly waking up, coming into the world with intention, right? And if I'm noticing that I'm having a hard time shifting out of masculine, maybe I'm using that same practice again. And maybe for you, it looks different. Maybe there's a whole different practice that you have for yourself. And so here, it's about it's about the testing out. It's about trying new things on. It's about learning different things from different people who are really, and what women out there do you see who are really embodying their pleasure. In fact, I'm going to leave a couple different links in our show notes of women who I love to watch, because through watching them, then I get to have my mirror neurons start to reflect that, and I get to kind of soak it in myself and learn their practices. So there's a lot of different things, and it doesn't necessarily need to be sexual, but maybe you really want to work with a jade egg or some other practices with your yoni, and maybe that is the turn on and the pleasure that you're desiring. But it doesn't have to be, right? That's the key here. So many times we think that pleasure is only sexual. Now, when I heard about Jada's sex quiz, she was recently on the Goop Netflix series. We'll leave a link for her as well so that you can take the quiz. This was a game changer for me when I found out what my sexual blueprint is. And then overlaying that and understanding what my husband's is, and how do we become more compatible and read each other's maps. So I found out that I am an energetic first and then a sensual blueprint. And so for me, understanding this, maybe pleasure for me doesn't have to always be sexual in nature. Like maybe that's not actually the turn on. But energetically attuning and regulating my nervous system, yes. Getting into my body, feeling through the five senses, yes. That for me brings me alive. And so when we start to understand how our own bodies work here, this is how we really embody the power of our pleasure. Because it's unique to each of us. It's different for each of us. And the journey here is exploring what really works for me. And that might change, right? Over time. Of course it's going to change. As we go through different seasons of life, different things are going to feel good. Different things are going to feel bad. But can I find what feels good for me? And the more that I have come to understand pleasure and its role in my life, the more resistance I have felt come up of the things that I have to continue to heal. And right now, what that looks like is the regulation of my nervous system and where I go into freeze. And so this is actually just the first layer of moving myself through it with the VU. But if I go a little bit deeper, what's there? And I've done a lot of work on this. I had this whole Kundalini experience, Kundalini rising experience when I went to Avalon in 2018. I had a couple different priestesses moving the energy, and it felt like there were some really, really old pieces that were kind of contracting and having me get frozen when it comes to pleasure and my sexuality. And I know that there's more to dig into. And that's the work. That's the embodiment, is that whenever we come to this next layer, this deeper level, because we've expanded our capacity. See, the thing is every time we do the regulation, right? And we do the VU, we expand our capacity to go a little deeper. So we get to go in there, go a little bit deeper, see what's there, allow that to come up, expand a little bit more, keep going deeper. And that's how we create the real integration into our lives. And then it just becomes second nature. And how does that feel? Yum. So different things to do here with your pleasure is getting creative with the five senses, using breath work. There are so many different breath work techniques. One thing that I have found really, really helpful with regulating my nervous system is simply a long, slow, deep breath in through the nose and a very long exhale with the mouth slightly hanging in space. And maybe there's some sound. That helps to regulate me. Then there's also kind of more of a faster breath in and out to kind of move the energy. There's the presence process breath to bring more awareness, which is more of a circular breath, where it's hooking, the inhales and the exhales are hooking onto each other, so it creates a circle. And then there's switching gears. This is something that I've learned from my brother who studied with Wim Hof. You can do these various gears. So you start with very slow, and then you pick it up, and then you pick it up another notch, and pick it up a notch, and then you come down, down, down. And you could take yourself on this whole breathwork journey that can completely clear out all that's in the way of you experiencing the pleasure of this life. And then also to just get outside in nature, right? To touch the grass, to notice the sunlight on the leaves, to touch the leaves, to touch all the textures of nature, to smell some of the flowers, to feel the wind, right? Like this is such a sensual experience and can be so pleasurable when we can really be present in nature, right? And I believe this is all about what we can do on our own to bring ourselves pleasure, to self-regulate, to not be reliant on another, and to then from that place also come into pleasure with others, right? Whether that's pleasure, sexual pleasure with a partner, the pleasure of having a deep and meaningful conversation, the pleasure of dancing in community. There's all different ways that we can experience the pleasure of life, the pleasure of living with other people. So I want to hear from you. What's your pleasure practice? What's something that brings you pleasure? And let's dive into that, right? Like let's start to open that up and start to explore together what this pleasure practice and what the embodiment of your pleasure looks like. You just listened to this show. I'd love for you to leave the Brave Woman podcast an honest review. Reviews help podcasts like this one grow, making it more possible for me to devote my time, energy, and money to its production. If you take a screenshot of your review and email it to support@sistershipcircle.com, we'll send you one of our archetype activations as a thank you gift. Thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it. Up next, who are you for your ancestors and for the next 7 generations? You are a woman with magic, and we're going to turn that power on in the next episode so that every word that comes out of your mouth creates the world you want to live in.